Tonight, Air Transat lands a last-minute deal with pilots. What we know about the tentative agreement.
It's crazy. It's not a stress.
And what it means for passengers. What Canada's ambassador to the United States is saying in a one-on-one about her decision to step down.
There's never a good time to leave a position like this, but I think that this is a natural point of departure for me.
Her thoughts on Donald Trump and what we know about her potential successor. And reforms to Canada's criminal code.
The delay in introducing this law has had a profound effect on kids.
How the government says it will protect children and victims of gender-based violence.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. We are tracking two breaking stories tonight. The decision by Canada's ambassador to the U.S. to leave her job and what she told me about why. And a major sigh of relief for thousands of Air Transat passengers, which is where we begin tonight with CTV's Heather Wright.
A day of travel turbulence and then an 11th hour deal.
It's crazy. It's not a stress.
After nearly 12 months of talks and several intense days of negotiations, Air Transat and the union announced tonight they had reached an agreement, which delivers a modern contract that recognizes the professional contributions of Air Transat pilots, the union said in a statement. Air Transat pilots had never walked off the job in the airline's history, but they threatened to do so during the start of the busy holiday travel season, leading to more than a dozen canceled flights as the airline worked to bring passengers and planes back to Canada. The pilots are represented by the Airline Pilots Association, the same union that negotiated last fall's deal for Air Canada pilots, who got a 42% pay bump. Members say ALPA used that same playbook here.
They're trying to replicate roughly the same deal as they can that Air Canada pilots achieved. Again, last year, going up to the last minute, but they averted a strike in that case.
The deal still needs to be ratified, and while exact terms are not clear, Air Transat said earlier today it had offered the union an improvement on its earlier offer of a 59% pay hike over 5 years.
As an example, for a senior captain top scale year 5, we're looking at over $100,000 pay increase on a yearly basis. So this is a significant, very generous offer that we've made.
This is the second major disruption to Canadian air travel in less than 6 months and marks a shift toward more equitable pay across the airline sector. Just as Air Transat pilots are looking for compensation similar to what other airlines pay, it is expected that flight attendants will want a deal like the one their counterparts at Air Canada got when they went on strike back in August. Omar.
All right, Heather Wright at Toronto's Pearson Airport tonight. Heather, thank you. To our other top story now, the first woman to serve as Canada's ambassador to the United States, revealing this evening she will step down in the new year. Kirsten Hillman was formally appointed to the role in 2020, serving as Canada's top diplomat in Washington and chief trade negotiator on U.S. trade. Sources tell CTV News that Canadian financier Mark Wiseman will likely be named as her successor. In March, the Prime Minister added Wiseman to his Council on Canada-U.S. Relations. And joining me now from the Canadian Embassy in Washington is Ambassador Hillman. Ambassador, this must be such a bittersweet day for you. A lot of people will be asking, why now in the middle of a trade war?
Oh, thanks. And thanks for having me, Omar. And you're right, it is bittersweet. It is been the privilege of my professional life to be able to serve Canada and Canadians here in Washington. But the truth is, I have in my 9th year here in DC and 6th as ambassador. And, you know, I spoke to the Prime Minister about this and I said it's time, I think, for me to start a new chapter. He had asked me back in the spring to stay on for the transition of his government, the new government, and the transition to the new Trump administration. I agreed to do that, and I'm honored to have done that, and I'm proud to have done that. But I did say I will be wanting to head out in 2026, and 2026 is just around the corner. And at the same time, you know, we are moving to a phase of our discussions with the United States with the CUSMA review, the Canada-U.S.-Mexico Trade Agreement review. That's going to start up in the new year. And I think it's important that we have someone in place that is going to be here through the conclusion of those discussions. So There's never a good time to leave a position like this, but I think that this is a natural point of departure for me.
So was this decision entirely yours, or did someone suggest that you should be leaving?
It was my decision.
You know, when you reflect back on your 8 years at the embassy and 6 as ambassador, trade really is your specialty. But the Canada-U.S. trade file has been especially challenging. How has your perception of President Trump changed over the years?
I think President Trump has become more and more, strong in his own convictions. I think in his first term, he had many people who were providing advice that was seeking to kind of put guardrails around some of his choices. I think that he very much has a team this time that is deeply aligned with the direction in which he wants to go. And I think he is very confident that the decisions he's making are the right ones, the ones that he was elected to make. And so I think that makes him, in some ways, it's clearer to us what we need to do in the face of his convictions.
And what is that?
Well, I think we have to find ways to take care of ourselves, be strong and resilient at home, grow our economy, diversify our economy, while at the same time recognizing that we will never and should never want to not have a strong relationship with the United States.
Ambassador, what's next for you?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, as I say, I'm looking forward to going home. I'm looking forward to visiting my parents, who I've seen less of than I would have liked to in recent years. I'm looking forward to taking some time with my husband to relax and, think about the next phase.
Ambassador Hillman, thank you for your time, and good luck in your next chapter. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
And the Prime Minister posted, in part, I am grateful to Ambassador Hillman for her invaluable counsel and thank her for her long record of dedicated service to all Canadians. In other news, the FBI has released a new photo of Canadian fugitive, alleged drug kingpin and former Olympian Ryan Wedding. According to American authorities, this photo is believed to have been taken in Mexico this past summer. Not clear who took the photo or how it was obtained. The 44-year-old is allegedly connected to multiple murders, and the FBI believes he is hiding out in Mexico under the protection of the Sinaloa cartel. Ottawa is promising one of the most consequential updates to Canada's criminal code in generations, a new bill to toughen laws against gender-based violence, including making femicide a first-degree murder charge. Here's CTV's Abigail Beeman.
That happened on Mother's Day 2003.
A survivor of attempted intimate partner femicide, Nneka McGregor feels lucky she didn't end up a statistic. In 2024, 187 women in Canada were killed violently.
I've spent the last 2+ decades advocating.
McGregor says the Liberals' new legislation goes a long way to end gender-based violence, especially the move to make femicide classified as first-degree murder and a new criminal offense for certain types of coercive and controlling behaviors to help stop abuse before it's too late.
We have an opportunity to better protect kids who are at risk of exploitation and to address very real concerns about violence against women, including violence that could be fatal.
If passed, C-16 will restore a dozen mandatory minimum penalties previously found unconstitutional, but also give courts some discretion to order shorter sentences to address the problem of potential charter infringement. The bill also makes it illegal to distribute deepfakes without someone's consent.
Unless you do XYZ, then I'm going to share that with your family. I am going to post it to all of your friends. And, children are rightfully terrified.
This cybersecurity law expert says the bill closes a critical loophole and legislation is long overdue.
The delay in introducing this law has had a profound effect on kids.
There is some overlap from the beleaguered Trudeau-era online harms bill, mainly the requirement for internet service providers to notify police about any child porn. But the Justice Minister says this isn't a copy and paste. He hopes to have the support of all parties to pass this bill. It's not yet clear if he will. Omar?
All right, Abigail Beeman in Ottawa, where the Liberal government voted down an opposition motion today, which reignited the politics of pipelines. Here's CTV's Rachel Aiello.
The Conservatives' last opportunity of the year to force a vote on an issue they deem pressing ended in defeat today. Their motion supporting the construction of new pipelines failed to pass.
Yeas pour 139, 139. Nays contre 196, 196.
Despite the wording coming right from the Prime Minister's Memorandum of Understanding with Alberta.
But if he's going to vote against his own words, how can Canadians ever believe his words?
The Liberals said they couldn't support it because in their view, the motion cherry-picked pieces of the MOU.
It's a no vote against the Conservatives playing games and creating optics and wasting parliamentary time when they should be voting on things that are way more important.
Even a Hail Mary Conservative offer to update the wording
In order to include the things that Liberals claim we left out.
Wasn't enough, as Poilievre still omitted any mention of Alberta agreeing to industrial carbon pricing or reducing methane emissions.
Two things that the Premier of Alberta acknowledged, signed wholeheartedly as part of a complete meal.
And while the vote had no real impact, coastal First Nations came to the capital to remind MPs about the real people behind the politics.
This is our home, and any of these conversations happening out here in Ottawa, without us being part of it, we take it very seriously.
The Liberals weren't alone in rejecting the Conservative motion. New Democrats, the Bloc Québécois, and the Greens also voted against. Omar?
All right, Rachel, thank you. Canada pushed back today against the new U.S. national security strategy, a document that aims to, quote, restore American preeminence in the West. CTV's Judy Trin with a closer look at the plan some see as hostile.
These are not just defense assets, they are nation-building assets.
3 federal ministers present to announce a nearly $3 million investment in military satellites built and operated in Canada to surveil the Arctic and warn against foreign threats as part of North American air defense.
It will be operated here from Canada by Canadians, so it really is a sovereign capability.
It's sovereignty that continues to be challenged as Donald Trump pulls back support of Western allies in the administration's newly released national security strategy.
And what the United States of America chooses to do through its national security strategy is its choice. What we intend to do here with a new Canadian national security strategy is our choice. So we will continue to manage the relationship well.
The White House document calls for the U.S. to restore American preeminence in the Western Hemisphere and demands other nations make the U.S. its partner of choice while discouraging collaboration with others.
It's a kind of coercive economic nationalism.
Canada's former ambassador to NATO says the strategy could be viewed as hostile, that it lumps Canada in with Latin America, positioning it as a vassal state existing only to further American interests.
Focuses on buy American. We're going to push out competitors out of your markets because we're going to be the preeminent power in the region.
The Trump doctrine seeks to weaken China. It also calls for Europe to stand on its own 2 feet and is against NATO expansion. The Kremlin says the American strategy aligns with Russian policy. Omar.
Judy, thank you. In a major boost to the tech industry, Microsoft says it's investing $7.5 billion in Canada over the next 2 years, the latest in a series of worldwide artificial intelligence investments. Microsoft says its overall estimated investment in Canada now totals $19 billion from 2023 to 2027 for data center expansion. Microsoft's president and vice chair told CTV's chief political correspondent Vashi Kapelos that the company will protect digital sovereignty, keeping data in Canadian hands.
We have said that if the U.S. government seeks data from a Canadian customer, we will stand up to defend that. If there's a legal basis, and there typically is, we'll go to court. We do this when we need to, for American customers, for European customers, for Canadian customers if that need arises.
Australia's social media ban for children under 16 has come into effect. The world's first legislation bars kids from major platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, X, and Twitch.
We will be completely silenced and cut off from our country and the rest of the world with this ban.
This student is challenging the new law in court, but some Australian teens support the ban.
I think it's actually going to help a lot of people's mental state, the younger children, because a lot of people around my age really suffered mentally with bullying and all these different peer pressures.
Platforms that fail to remove youth accounts will face fines up to the equivalent of about $46 million Canadian. Coming up.
He didn't even give him 5 seconds to lie down.
How a family is taking action against police in Quebec over the death of their son. The shooting death of an unarmed 15-year-old Quebec teen sent shockwaves through the province, and now his family is fighting for justice. Here's CTV's Geneviève Beauchemin on the new multi-million-dollar lawsuit.
Seconds on surveillance video are evidence of police wrongdoing, claims Nooran Rezayi's family.
He didn't even give him 5 seconds to lie down.
His mother described her 15-year-old as a cheerful, kind teenager. And in a $2.2 million lawsuit, the family says he was the victim of racial profiling. They point to surveillance video recorded after a call to 911, reporting a large group armed with baseball bats and possibly one firearm.
As we can see on the video, 4 minutes before the police officer actually came, we were talking about 6 teenagers that are on the street not doing anything on their phone.
Other images, says the family's lawyer, show how quickly police fired the 2 shots that killed Rezayi.
From the time the vehicle stopped to the moment the shots were fired, 10 seconds elapsed.
In this case, the police rushed, creating a high-tension situation that they will later invoke to justify feeling endangered.
Rezayi's mom says Nooran means light, and that now there's no light in her home.
We want justice. We want this officer to be punished and the police department to take responsibility. This must never happen again. There cannot be another Nooran.
The lawsuit is against a police officer who remains unnamed in the city of Longueuil. A police watchdog investigation is also ongoing. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
Following a remarkable coordinated effort off the southern tip of Vancouver Island, rescuers say a life was saved after a Royal Canadian Navy member fell overboard.
I see a heat source in the water. It's dark as well, near the flare. He just waved his hand up. He is alive.
Nice.
There's a boat and helicopter picking him up as we speak.
The Joint Rescue Coordination Center in Victoria was alerted yesterday evening. Facing high winds, large swells, and darkness, multiple vessels and aircraft from both Canada and the U.S. scoured the cold waters and after 2 hours spotted a flare. The man was located and rescued. And this was the scene in Winnipeg as a pickup truck swerved across both lanes of traffic, then flipped over and rolls on the median. While the vehicle appears to tumble to a stop, the truck manages to drive away, clearly in rough condition. RCMP say the truck was stolen earlier in the day. It was later found abandoned. Authorities say no arrests have been made and they're not aware of any injuries. Still ahead, how Canadian farmers are reacting to Donald Trump's latest threat. Canada's farmers reacted to Donald Trump's recent threats of severe tariffs on fertilizer. More than half of Canada's potash exports go to the U.S. market, with Saskatchewan the world's leading producer. Here's CTV's Alison Bamford on the warnings about the negative impacts.
A key ingredient in American-grown food, potash, now threatened by U.S. tariffs.
A lot of it does come in from Canada, and so we'll end up putting very severe tariffs on that if we have to.
President Donald Trump's latest warning to Canada's fertilizer industry, saying it would bolster his country's own production that lags far behind Canada's.
You need to take the president very seriously, but maybe don't take him literally on everything that he says.
Potash is one of 3 critical nutrients that crops need. The United States produces about 400,000 tons of potash annually and imports millions of tons more from Canada. The U.S. is our biggest buyer.
I just don't think there's any way you could scale that capacity up tenfold in the matter of a few months, because seeding starts for them in February in the southern U.S.
If Trump follows through with the threat, this agricultural economics professor says Canada's potash industry could be forced to scale back production and lay off workers.
Given that we export about 50% of our potash to the U.S., I think, like most things, it would be very difficult to pivot in a few months.
Experts say implications on Americans could be even worse. Crop production costs and the price of food could both go up.
So it's hard to really see an upside for the U.S. or for Canada for that matter.
Canadian producers say fertilizer supply can't be replaced quickly, and developing a new potash mine could take 10 to 15 years. Allison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Still ahead, a special surprise for remote First Nation communities this holiday season. Santa Claus upgraded his traditional sleigh to a different mode of transportation to deliver joy to remote First Nations communities. CTV's Alex Karpa on why the visit is especially meaningful this year.
Santa didn't need his sleigh to spread holiday cheer. Instead, he used a plane to travel to several Manitoba First Nations communities. I was able to hitch a ride on the Manitoba Kiwetinowe Okamakinak Santa Express, making stops in 4 remote and northern communities, which saw kids of all ages excited to see Santa in the flesh.
It's something different. It brings joy and brings laughter. It brings togetherness.
Merry Christmas!
The Santa Express is visiting 25 communities in 5 days, delivering 12,000 treat bags filled with candy and toys.
Having Santa to just come into the community for kids to see Santa, where in the South you can just see him every day, but over here just once in a while. So this is just extra special.
It's not just kids Santa went to see, but as well seniors at this care home in Bunnabonaby Cree Nation.
Merry Christmas!
This initiative started back in 2009 and is a partnership with Manitoba-based Perimeter Aviation. But this year's excursion is a little different than others. Santa's visits to communities here in northern Manitoba were especially meaningful this year, as thousands were forced out of their homes due to raging wildfires. Hundreds of fires this past summer in northern Manitoba forced over 30,000 people to evacuate, leaving many out of their homes for months on end.
Children are away from home, being absent from school, and I think this will do them good.
Sethi says there's a ton of planning that goes into this yearly mission, but says it's all worth it, making sure every child can experience the Christmas magic, no matter where they live. Alex Karpa, CTV News in northern Manitoba.
So great to see those smiles. That's a snapshot of this Tuesday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night and see you tomorrow.